Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LG Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering the Braxtons. This is season 2. I believe that this is episode 4, maybe 3, but I think it's 4. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe if you are new. I welcome you here, and you can leave your comments below. Now let's get into this episode. Okay, y'all. So I thought the dinner scene was going to be happening. We start to see it at the end of the episode as to what is going to transpire. But I'm like, look, the production, I understand you trying to build anticipation, but I don't really think you need it. We're locked. That trailer snippet was enough. However, some of the pieces are starting to come together because you're starting to play a little bit more snippets of what's happening. It's like, oh, okay, because everybody think that people are just fighting over this whole Ashley thing. No, it's a part of it, but they get down in the gutter. And let me say this. I think the Braxtons and the Kardashians should be on the same level as to how Hollywood treats them. For me, I think that the Braxtons is a better show because we're getting more real and all that. The Kardashians, can't say that everything is fake. However, they get the call on what's going to be in and out of their production. Meaning they signed a deal with Disney, Hulu, and all of them, and they get to actually say what's going to be on the show and what's not going to be on the show at this point. That's how their deal is. And you can go check it out, Google it, and all that. I'm not lying on them. I do feel like, no, y'all tailor to them. Hollywood, Braxton needs the same type of treatment. I really do. Anyways, we start the episode with Trina. She looks like, I do feel like this was a little bit fake, but it looks like she was rushing into the house to talk with Vaughn. Because we know in the last episode, Vaughn was at one of those temporary treatment places. I forgot what they call it. Lord Jesus. It'll probably come to me. Urgent care, that's what it is. So he talks about his experience. He says that he's been having complications, but he didn't want to do anything or say anything to Trina because if he did, Trina would not have gone on the trip. So for y'all that's on the internet trying to say, oh, I believe that Trina and Vaughn came up with this so they didn't have to be at Tawanda's Tulum trip, y'all need to stop. Y'all try to come up with every theory in the world to make sure that Tamar is not the villain. Do I believe that there are other villains with these Braxtons? Yes. I will let you know that, but oh my God. But I finally, something clicked in me also that we'll talk a little bit later about. I'm like, Tamar, you're wrong about this. Even though the world is believing what you believe, you're wrong. You're wrong. Anyway, what was I gonna say? All right, so he's talking about he had a lot of fluid on his heart. They had to drain a lot of fluid, and it was like, did he say 30 pounds of fluid? I said, Lord Jesus. So he's going to have to start a diet regimen and exercise regimen. If things do not progress or get better within, I think he said 90 days or so, they're going to have to go back in and actually do some real surgery on him. So at this point, Trina's like, okay, we got to react fast and da-da-da-da-da. But he did say, like, I knew that you wouldn't go on the trip if I told you immediately, told you what was going on. So that's why I went to urgent care while you were gone. I'm going to say something more because someone else on this show does something behind the family's back concerning their health. So we'll get there in just a second. But I think that is selfish. You think you're doing a selfless thing and cool that you want to look out for your partner, but at the same time, anything could have happened to you. And it touches me personally because I've dealt with stuff like this. Okay, so we only got a few like filter scenes. We see Tony, she's practicing for a show. There was supposed to be the original scene between the sisters was supposed to happen, I believe, in LA. They were setting it up, blah, 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 blah. And then, well, they said that, but I don't know if it's the sisters because that don't make sense. But there was some type of business meeting that was supposed to happen. That's what I'm reading through the inscription. I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm just trying to make sure I'm painting the picture correctly. But Tony was called away. We found out that there's an emergency with Lady E. She's in the hospital. She had blockage on her heart, and they had to go on and perform surgery and put a stent in. This is not the first time that there's been blockage, and she had to have a stent. The ladies ended up saying that before, when they put the stent in there, she ended up having a stroke. I would say this is the first time I've seen just Tamar be calm and just talk to her mother and all that, and not all this extraness. I was like, that's interesting. I never have seen that come out of her. Miss E finally wakes up, and she's wondering what's happening. She said that she came in for some tests. Well, Tamar said you came in for some tests, and then they had to have emergency surgery on you, and just filling her in on this and that. And then they're kind of making jokes or whatever regarding the food, and she don't want any of that hospital food, whatever. Moving on to Tawanda. Tawanda is now looking at her dress and making sure everything's together. The stylist or the dressmaker designer thinks he has 3 months. No, you have 3 weeks to get this done. Miss Evelyn and also Trina are there. Tawanda is in her feelings, and she's been like that because they start talking about, okay, the bridal shower that's supposed to happen. She's like, well, Tony was supposed to be doing it, and now Tony's not even going to be there. And I'm really upset because, as she said in the last episode, I thought my family would want to be involved to help and all that. So there's a lot of slack that I have to pick up because different ones aren't here to do whatever. So we get a little snippet of what the dress is going to look like. Tawanda comes out in it. She's got this lavender, I won't say purple, with sparkles and all that as her long piece. I don't know what you call it, the dress part. I can say that. And then, of course, whatever the train that she's going to have. And then right now she has this chocolate type of, would you call that like a bustier? I don't know the exact terms. I'm not into fashion like that. But anyways, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good design. We don't know the finishing touches, but how it's looking now, it looks very well. Very good. Next, Tony, we get a scene with her. She goes over to Lady E's home. Tamar comes, and I think Trina comes. But anyways, they talk a little bit more about Lady E in this whole situation. She said that she thought that she was going to the hospital for a stress test. She told Logan that. And they were like, well, why didn't you tell us all this information that was going on? Miss E is lying. And she's trying to dress it up as cute in her confessional. Because she's like, there's just some things I like to keep to myself so that I can have control. I said, man. She thought she's trying to tell them, oh, I was just going in for a stress test. To the hospital, Mom? No, ma'am. You knew that there was more going on. You knew it, but obviously there's a special bond between Logan and Miss E. Well, I won't be shady. Not this episode. But between Vaughn and Miss E. Now, Trina was like, look, we're not going to let these Vaughn and Miss E off the hook in regards to how that they are showing up. However, we just want to make sure that they're okay. Right now, we're just standing tall as a unit right now, despite even the type of disagreements that we have amongst each other. But I have noticed it seems like Miss E is stepping out of the girls' drama. She may hear it. I don't even hear that much feedback as far as what they're at least allowing on the show, which I think is a good thing. Because for many things, no, you can't sit up here and fight these 40, 50-year-old women's problems. Sorry. But she thinks that, Miss E thinks that she's going to have all this control. Ma'am, you have no control. Your body is ready to shut down without your control. And it's selfish. And the reason I say that, if you got something going on, you got to let somebody know. For real. You don't want people to worry about you. I know you want to be treated a certain way, but that's pride. Do you really want to put people in a position that there's some type of emergency about yourself that you could have told someone about, and then now you're gone? And nobody knows what happens. Somebody got to deal with that type of trauma of not even getting a chance to really say goodbye to you because you're gone. Because you decided, I wanted to, not worry y'all for whatever reason or have control. It's F all that. Even in your selflessness, you can still be selfish. So, we're seeing all these clips. they're giving us more information on the show about what what went down in this dinner, and it's gonna get more explosive. There's one particular thing I'm gonna talk about. If y'all seen it, you've seen it. We find out from Tamar that Tamar put a down payment on Tawanda's home that she's living in now. We also get into the discussion about the whole bridesmaid situation, or the maid of honor situation. Nobody else got the maid of honor invitation. We all got the same. Tamar has interpreted the lady of honor invite as maid of honor. And it finally clicked. I said, oh, yes, in the first episode, Tawanda said she don't have no bridesmaids. Everybody is a lady of honor. I think she said bridesmaids. I think she did. And you can be like, well, maybe she does have a maid of honor. No, everybody had the same billing because she didn't want that. The only person that had a different title was her daughter, junior bride. And that was that. So Tamar has taken upon herself that she was the maid of honor. Even with that video, for whatever reason. But you know, a lot of women love that type of honor to actually have. She ran with it and didn't really check it. So, because I kept trying to figure out, okay, why would Tawanda make you maid of honor? Y'all hardly talk, but you still give money to her. Maybe that's why you thought. And then we find out that Tawanda was stealing money from Tamar. So you mean to tell me you were willing to be that heifer's maid of honor? And she's stealing from you? Look, I'm not built like that anymore. When we act like we family, we gotta stick together. No, F you. I'm not working nothing out. Especially when I've tried. You stole from me. You stole from me. And you wanted to be her maid of honor, Tamar? You really... That's interesting. All this is interesting. I don't feel like Tamar is the total victim. I don't think she's a total villain. But they start spilling some secrets. Who Tamar been sleeping with and all that. Lord. Tamar been sleeping with a couple of Tony's boyfriends and all that. Then she's counteracting, saying, oh no, Tawanda slept with this person from Tony. I'm like, okay. And then we see Tamar get up, smashing glasses. We thought Tony was getting up because of this whole Ashley situation. Oh no, the lady's about to get into it. Ugh. So it was an interesting episode, but again, I'm sick of all these previews and whatnot. Let's just get to the main deal because everybody's planted. You gave us enough in that trailer to keep us seated to at least see what's going to happen during this dinner. So, all right. So y'all let me know how y'all feel. Y'all still think that Tawanda is this huge villain? Now, stealing is one thing. Now, Tawanda, we heard about you doing other thefts, but towards your family, that's crazy. But I think, Tamar, you're a stupid fool for wanting to still want to be a maid of honor to somebody who stole from you, or think that you were, even at that. But you were wrong. But anyways, let me know. Thank you for stopping by. Like this video, subscribe, and until the next one. Okay, y'all, there's one part I forgot that I have to mention, or I want to mention, is Tamar. She goes to see T.S. Madison for her Outlaws podcast. I wanted to speak on it because she said something two things specific that I might do maybe a speak up on or something else that I'm just like, I think I need to talk about this a little bit more because it bothers me. But anyways, she talks about how she got villainized by her sisters, the sisters calling her mean girl and the villain. I mean, you've carried that elsewhere in so many other places. Your sister had that much effect, like you do not. How do you say that you're healed and you don't see anything that you got going on, but you're healed? You're human. You're this, da-da-da-da-da. If you're all of that, cool. I can't take that away from you. You said you're healed. You can't be healed. You can't be healed. Is there a narrative or something that's hanging over you? Yes. You wanted to retire. I don't know if it should retire. Not just yet. Because I don't see that. But to just say, oh, my sisters did this. My sisters did that. Ma'am, ma'am, everywhere you go, there's an issue. The only people that seem to let you get away with stuff is the queer community. And we know where that's from and why. And I can talk about that later on. But also, T.S. Madison brings up her other co-host. Her other co-host is Craig, the writer. If you've been on social media, earlier this year, something went viral. Tamar went to one of T.S. Madison and Craig's events. And that's when she decided that she wanted to try to sun Craig at the event, because she's sick and tired of how Craig always comments on her and critiques her. She was disrespectful to the gay community, and the gay community had nothing to say. T.S. Madison had nothing to say. And that's the part I really want to talk about. So she brought up Craig, T.S. Madison, and was saying that it looks like y'all just love drama. And then Tamar says, well, he can't be a fan if he's saying that we love drama, and then says that, look, we are a family, we're human, we do this, da 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 da. Do I disagree with that? No. And do I disagree with what Craig said? No. I just don't understand why T.S. Madison decided to tip the scales. Craig's not only your co-host, he's your friend too. And I also know that you've been trying to get Craig to make up with Tamar. Now, if you were off camera trying to get Tamar to make up with him, cool. Doubt it. And I say that because of how you have moved in the past. That's for something else for a different day. Stay tuned. I have more to say. And I don't like what I see. Peace.